So let me disciple you in a way to disciple other people as regards their prayer. I'm going to disciple you. I'm going to teach you how to teach others to pray. So I'm going to teach you a process called guided prayers. I want you to use this as you are around people who are less mature than you are in prayer. The goal of guided prayer is for a more mature Christian to be able to teach a less mature Christian how to pray by showing them how to collect and form their spontaneous thoughts into prayer that is mature and comprehensive, because it doesn't happen automatically. The person who came up with this process is a guy named Lawrence Hull Stuckey, and he is the Professor Emeritus of Preaching and Worship at the Wesley Theological Seminary in Washington, D.C. Let me share with you how he teaches parents to guide their children in the process of prayer. And this same way would work whether you're talking to a parent and a child or two adults, one being the more mature Christian, the other one being a younger Christian in the faith. He says, in moving from prayers children overhear adults say to prayers that children then pray on their own, there is a crucial middle step, right? In other words, children hear you pray, and then sometime they start praying on their own. The question is, what happens in the middle? How do you get them from that first point to the second point? And he says that intermediate step is called guided prayer. And it may best occur as the closing event of family prayer just before the child's bedtime, and it can arise out of a simple review of the child's activities that day. So for example, the adult says, what happened today that made you happy? And the child said, well, we had fun playing outside this afternoon. And the adult says, all right, well, let's thank God like this. God, thank you for the warm weather, for the green grass, for times of laughing and having fun. Thank you for the friends and playmates you give. You see, you're asking them what they want to pray about, and then you're showing them how to formulate that into the language of prayer. Once the child becomes familiar with the procedure, the child can be encouraged to speak the prayer phrase by phrase after an adult, right? So after you do it for a while, you can say, all right, or repeat this after me. God, thank you for the warm weather. The child says, God, thank you for the warm weather. Thank you for the green grass. Thank you for the green grass. And so the reason why we do that is that's how we learn, is by imitation. We learn by imitation how to grow to maturity in our prayers. So Stuckey suggests that an adult can also ask the child things like, what happened today that made you unhappy? And then you help them turn that into a prayer. Or, did you do anything today that you feel bad about? Did you do anything that you feel sorry for? And then we can turn that into a prayer of confession and receive the assurance of forgiveness. Or, whom do you love and care about who needs God's help? That's a prayer of intercession. Who needs God's help today? And so you help them do that for intercession. We do the same thing with new Christians who are not familiar with how to pray. So think about this. In that very simple activity, which you can lead a child to do, you can lead another Christian to do, the child has been introduced to Thanksgiving, right? What did you like today? All right, we're going to give thanks to God. Petition. What worried you today that you want to ask God about? Confession. What did you do that made you feel bad today you want to ask forgiveness for? And intercession. Who needs God's help? You see, so we can teach our children, we can teach less mature Christians, we can disciple them how to pray in all of the ways that Jesus taught us to pray, and thus fulfill the Great Commission. So over time, children learn how to do their own short prayers that way. You can say, now you try. Let's hear you try that today. And then in that transition process, then the adult maybe will ask some questions along the way, like, now how will you talk to God about this? So sadly, the only time we ever do that as adults is typically when somebody becomes a Christian for the first time. They're guided in a very specific prayer language that we call the sinner's prayer, which we say, repeat after me, and Lord, I'm a sinner. Lord, I'm a sinner. I confess that. And so for all the problems we mentioned about that prayer, it does have the advantage of being a good imitation of exactly what I'm talking about being a way that people learn how to pray by imitating those who already know how to pray. So sadly though, that's often the only guided prayer that people pray. It's as if after praying that, it's like, all right, you're good to go. Now you ought to be able to pray the rest on your own. And it's like intercession, thanksgiving, petition, confession, all those out the window because the person's never learned to pray that way.
Hear the word, do the word. .w